Hi everyone, so today I am talking about this foundation. It's the Rare Beauty foundation in 100W. Is this the brand that's associated with Selena Gomez? I don't know. I'm not even really familiar. I know the name, I vaguely know her face, but I don't know her work as an actor, so I don't know anything about anything. But I did see this and thought, it's pale. It looks yellow undertoned. Okay. So I bought it. I've worn this quite a few times. Before I get too much into things, let's just take a look at the swatches and we'll talk about it some more. Oh, look at this. We're up into like the crease of my elbow. Poor planning, folks. Poor planning. Okay, so I wanted to include some yellow stuff, some really pale stuff, some stuff that's a good match for me in general. And it ended up being a lot of stuff. So this is NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop foundation in pale. It is very pale and yellow toned. Generally a good color for me, except it is too pale. This is Clinique Beyond Perfecting in CN 0.5 shell. A nice shade match for me generally. This is the Rare Beauty in 100W. This is a better shade match for me. The Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in F0.2. It is yellow undertone, but it's got a little bit more yellow than the Rare Beauty. Next to it, this is so pale. This is the JCat Skin Assurance in Porcelain. This foundation has a good amount of coverage and it is extremely pale. I wanted to show next to what also I find to be quite pale and a little too pale for me. The undertone's not the best for me. Estee Lauder Double Wear in 0N1 Alabaster. Interesting. This one is more pale. For my people out there that are ultra pale. Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited about that JCat. Okay. This is MAC Nourishing Waterproof Pro Longwear NW13, and because I can't help it and I'm not so smart sometimes, I got NC13 because I thought, hey, NW13 is really pale. Maybe NC13 is going to be really pale and golden. No, this is more like actual NC13. I don't know what's wrong with that NW13. I'll take it. Frustrating. And this is, what is that? The e.l.f. Camo Cc Cream in Fair 120, which I wanted to show that compared to like the MAC so you could see also where that was kind of on the spectrum. And down here is, what formula is that? The Natural Radiant Longwear from Nars in Siberia. They didn't have this formula in Siberia for a long time, and then they finally did it. And yeah, so you can see, again, this is an undertone that works really well for me. It's a little bit darker than other offerings that I find are a little bit closer to me for a shade match. But yeah, there are a lot of swatches. And my arm is kind of dying here because I'm holding it at a very strange angle trying to show all of the weird little swatches I've got going on. Okay, so you can see it's very pale, and which is great. There aren't a lot of that cool yellow undertoned pale foundations out there, and the ones that are out there are actually a little too pale for me. So this and the NYX Pale and the Can't Stop, Won't Stop, those are the two that really kind of jump out at me as the like ultra pale yellow undertone, kind of that cool yellow undertone, not peachy, not golden per se, just a nice cool yellow. Kind of like the color of my neck. This I do think is just on the side of too pale for me, and I'm gonna go ahead and just insert this clip of me putting it on. Normally I don't talk, but I ended up talking while I was putting this on, so let's just listen to me, watch me put it on. Okay, we're starting over because I was using this Dr. Dennis Gross Dark Spot Sun Defense SPF 50. So this is like a physical mineral sunscreen. And this foundation and that did not mesh well together. So we're going to try this again. Shaker ball, shake it up really thoroughly. Otherwise it's like you get just kind of that silicone heavy silicone dose on your face. I do think actually this little doe foot is probably the best way of dispensing this type of formula, as opposed to trying to like pump it out. I guess we're gonna just talk while I do this. Isn't this color nice? It's like a pale yellow, like a really pale yellow. I think it might even be a little too pale for me. Woohoo! I'm always happy about that because there are people paler than I am. I obviously go lighter on my face to try to match the rest of my body, hands and neck and all that. I'm 40 years old. I have kind of combo skin. I've got seborrheic dermatitis around this area. This stuff sets so fast, so you gotta go quick, or you'll have little areas where you like, especially if you use the doe foot to apply it, you'll have little like stripes. You gotta move quick, like really quick. I don't know if I can like talk and do this at the same time. You have a small amount of leeway to go back and blend, but I have found on me, on my skincare, etc., etc., I've not had a lot of luck building it up, going over it again. Like if I missed a spot and I try to just kind of touch it up a little bit, it will tend to like lift anything that's around it. So that's why this is one that it's like slap it on and then that's it. Don't go back to it. Oh boy. Got a text message. It's probably Sean saying you need to come out here and help me with this slide. So I'm using the Nars Light Reflecting Setting Powder Press. This is also kind of my holy grail, as it were, powder. I also like the Laura Mercier Loose Setting Powder, but if I'm going to get a good result, those are the two. And this one kind of slightly edges out the Laura Mercier, because sometimes the Laura Mercier can be a little dry, whereas this one is a little more kind to my face. So the formula is kind of funky. Like I mentioned, you know, it's got a shaker ball and it has this doe foot, which ends up being, I think, like a really good match, because thinking about the similar kind of foundation. So, okay, the way that back in the olden days when I would swatch things in store, a lot of times I could tell a formula was not gonna work on me or not be a great fit is if I swatched it and it started like just kind of traveling into all the little cracks in my, not cracks in my skin, but just the little patterns of whatever, and it starts kind of bleeding into those little lines. Those tended to be thin and like really heavy on silicones, it seems. This is that kind of formula, and it just barely works for me without doing weird things. Those formulas tend to like sink into my pores and then kind of disappear from everywhere else, and you end up with like little polka dots. It tends to be pretty bad. This one is just like, it just barely works. If I don't shake it extremely well, I have problems. So it really, really does need to be shaken well every time you use it. And when you put it on, you can tell it has that kind of silicone base because it doesn't have that kind of cold feeling that foundation usually has when you put it on your face. Not like the really cold alcohol feeling, but just that like, this is something with water in it. This feels more like this is something with silicone in it. And if you don't shake it well enough, it's gonna feel like nothing, which again to me is the like, hey, you didn't mix this well enough. The silicone base has like separated from the pigments. That is my feeling about it. Whether or not that is at all accurate, I don't know, but I have worn this quite a few times now. And it's okay. It doesn't wear really badly on my face. It's a little tricky to apply just because, like I mentioned while I was putting it on, man, that thing sets fast. And you will get little like stamps of where it was put down. And especially if I have a drier SPF underneath, my skin isn't like you know, is maybe just on the edge of a little dry, just on the edge, it will do that even faster. So it seems to apply more easily over a more smooth, moisturized base, which sometimes means for me, foundation's not going to wear that well. It's been a hot minute since I wore this one over this SPF. It is warmer now, so my skin is generating a little bit more oil than it has been. But the weather's also been like completely bonkers. We had like 70, and then the next day it snowed, and then it was like 60, and then it was like 48. I don't think my face has really recovered from this like roller coaster of weather. So who knows? And I also showed when I tried to apply it over this. Oh, these products apparently do not get along. I have some difficulty with this SPF. It tends to ball up. I use as much as I would normally use, which is a very generous amount. But it is one that will totally ball up on you. So, I really like this in some ways, but in other ways it just is not a good match for makeup. But these two together repel each other off my face. So that's good to know. Yeah, so I think it's a really nice color. Not a color that's like covered a whole lot by foundations in general. But that's something that I feel like is becoming more common, is going more pale with different undertones. Oh, the other one that I probably have in the swatch, I haven't done the swatches yet, so I'm just like trying to use my brain as to what I'm going to swatch. Similar to the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in F0.2, which is also a nice fit for me because it's also that like pale yellow, very pale yellow thing. So yeah, better than I expected. Not great. It's not like super noteworthy on the wear side of things, and that's where I have issues with application and I have issues with wear. I mean, what else is there, I guess. But it applies okay as long as, you know, I've got a base that it cooperates with, and it wears okay. I haven't noticed like, oh, this looks beautiful. You know, it's not one of those like kind of top wearing foundations for me. But it doesn't break down in a funny way that's like, oh, I don't think I want to wear this, you know, because I am going to be wearing my foundation for 10, 12 hours most days, even though nobody is seeing me except for my family. I have to see myself in the mirror, and I don't want to look at it when my foundation is all patchy and falling apart. And so I want something that's going to look nice, and if it's not going to stay on my face for that long, that it like fades gracefully. Those are the two things that are ideal to me, especially since I'm not like visible to the public. It doesn't really matter if it's like fading off, but if it fades off nicely without it looking weird and patchy and gross, then I'm okay with it. So I do feel like this is one that I will continue to wear, and I would recommend it. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions about this foundation. What's up with the clapping? I'm very perky. I don't know why. Got some energy for once. Okay. I'm trying to go fast. Maybe that's why. I'm got the adrenaline. Let me know if you have any questions about this foundation, if you tried it out, if it worked for you, what shade you used, etc. Always helpful for everybody else in the comments if we share all that information, and I like getting feedback. I like to know what you're doing if you've tried these things. Oh, not making much sense. Okay. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you soon.